What's up, guys, and welcome back to Thean's Garage. In today's video, we're going to try to get this Honda Recon started. Let's get right into it. All right, we got our box of goodies today. All this stuff is for that Honda Recon, the electric shift one. Let's see. This is our new ignition here. I'll probably do this one first because it should be one of the easiest. What else do we have here? Let's see. This, I think, is our coil and a new spark plug. Just a cheap spark plug and a cheap coil, so we'll get that one on. Obviously, our new batteries over here. Oh, again, just a cheap battery. I've used all these cheap batteries before. I just normally find the cheapest one, and for the most part, they work pretty well. Test the charge first before we throw this thing on there. We got a new air filter. What else is in here? Oil filter, fuel filter. We got like a new intake boot here, which is kind of nice. I don't know if we even need one. The other four-wheeler doesn't have this little fuel thing, so it'd be nice to have that. Got some fuel line hose. What else is in here? Oh, throttle cable, which is nice. Spark plug, another cheap one. Petcock, that's done. This is done. And then the last thing we got was this, which is a cheap Chinese carburetor, mainly for the parts. I'm not going to be putting this thing on. I'm literally just going to be reusing these hoses, and if I need to, the gaskets and stuff in here. Worst case scenario, I could throw it on, but my plan is not to actually put this on there. It's to use the parts from it. So this kit was like 25 bucks. Not the battery and not the ignition coil. I think it was like 10 bucks, and this was like $5, and then the battery was 30. And then this little other kit was 25 bucks. So let's get over the quad, and I think, like I said, the first thing I want to do is put this keyed ignition in, so we actually have a key for it. So I think this is going to be relatively simple. If you look at this new one, it's just two little things that press in there. So I think if I go in and squeeze them, I should be able to pull this one out. And because the wire's already cut, nothing's plugged in, and then I can fish this one through, run it to where it's supposed to go. So let's see if we can get this old one out. Looks like I already kind of got it out. You just kind of push on this side over here. It's hard to do this side because it's kind of close to this edge, but I think if we just use a flathead here, we should be able to, pull that right out of there. Just like that. And see, they've already cut this wire, so we don't have to worry about unplugging it at the bottom, but that means we can just hopefully slide this through here and then trace where this wire goes. And then there's a little key here, so it can only go in one way. I wonder if we need to pull this down first. Like that. And it goes this way, I believe. Like that. Okay, and we can slide this little boot thing back up there. Double check our key works. Works perfectly. Now, we need to go underneath over here on the side and see if we can figure out where that wire runs. Not sure if you guys can see this, but this little plastic piece is hiding, the CDI box is just floating here, but it's hiding the ignition thing over here. Not sure where that CDI box is supposed to go. It's right here. Hopefully you can see that. So it looks like just a little plug here. You push, and you should be able to pull that thing out. There's a little pin you pull through. So we can just pull that right through. It's just a little clip right here that it slides into. So now that we know where that is, we should be able to run this cord right through here, and then our ignition will be hooked up. Yeah, there we go. Now we're just gonna slide it in and call it good. Okay, there's that one. All right, so our ignition is in. Like I said, we could just undo that clip right there and then be able to put this wire through that, and the same with the one up top. You don't have to run it through. I'm gonna take this battery out and put this new one in over here. I'll bring you guys back when I'm done, and maybe we'll see some power. All right, battery is hooked up, key works, neutral light is on. Ooh, I was wondering if that switch would work. Why is it in? It's going up. That don't make any sense. These buttons are messed up. Down went all the way up to 5th gear. That's 5th. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. When I was pushing down, it was going up. This button don't work. And I don't think it's gonna, you can't turn it over now because it don't have the brake. So, I'm not sure. I may have to get down there and try to turn that knob down there to get it to shift down. Let me do that. Okay, I got it back into gear. I got a battery charger on it. And I think what I'm gonna do is jump this solenoid because the little connecting switch over there, that up and down switch is not working. I think it's messed up. So I'm gonna try jumping this solenoid here and see if it turns over. I got it to jump. It didn't jump because the other screwdriver I had was painted. So it will now jump this solenoid here. It turns over, it's free. At least we know that. So I'm gonna need a new switch up there, one of those handlebar switches. But at least we can check the compression and see if we're getting spark. And obviously we need to check the oil, make sure there's some oil in there. Okay, I just checked the oil. There's nothing showing, and I don't have wet clutch rated oil for this, but I just got some random 5W20 I'm gonna throw in this thing. I don't care, because I will be changing it, and I'm not gonna be running it very long on this. So I just wanna get some oil in there and make sure, hopefully the motor isn't completely leaking everywhere. So we're gonna see, I'm gonna pour this oil in here. Okay, I think this is a 3/4 inch socket on here, but it's kind of loose, so it's not exactly fitting how I thought it would. So we'll see if it works, because it's not exactly what my spark plug socket wasn't fitting on there. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get in here. Okay, can we get this off of here now? There ain't much room. Okay, there we go. Well, there's the spark plug. It's really dirty because there's dirt all in there, but the the gap is really tight. Looks a little too tight. Now I'm gonna check the compression. So let me get this thing screwed in here, and when I start doing it, I'm gonna jump the solenoid again, and when I start, I'll bring you guys back. I'm gonna jump it. Let's see what that compression is. All right, take your guesses. What do you think?
150.
I'm gonna say 190. Far nothing. You know what else too? You're supposed to hold it wide open throttle, and I can't because the throttle's stuck. Let me make sure this thing is all put together. It didn't go up at all. Oh, where'd it go? It came off, that's why. That would help if this was connected. All right, here we go, second try. I can tell you right now, it's not very much. It is 65. Here we go again. I threw some oil in it. We'll see what it does. A little bit better. We're at 76 now. I'm gonna have to probably tear this carb out, which I knew I was gonna have to. But before I do that, I want to make sure, I want to see if this thing's getting any spark with the new coil on it. So I'm going to get the new coil up. It's just right there, so it's just a couple of bolts. Pull it off, unplug the wires, and plug them back in. And then we'll throw a spark plug in there and hit it to the frame and see, or the motor, and see if we get any spark. Okay, the new coil is plugged up. I'm going to throw this on here. I think actually I got to take this little cap off of here. Yeah. And then put this in. And then we're going to jump it and we'll see if we get any spark on here. Let's see. No spark. Okay, so we can start tracing our issues now that we know there's no spark. Could be the stator, could be the CDI box. We know it's not the coil unless this is a bad coil. Could be the rectifier. There's several other things it could be. So we're gonna do some testing and see what we can figure out. I think what I'm gonna do is take this carburetor off, but I gotta get this air box off first. Now this air box is broken, so you don't have to take these tabs off. All I gotta do is undo this hose clamp, and essentially I'm pretty sure this thing will just come right out. Okay, there is another connection down here. Looks like just a breather hose. Yeah, there we go. this carb looks rough. It's pretty frozen. I don't have high hopes for that. Our fuel is off. Not that that means anything, because the petcock could not work. How is this up here? There's one of those plastic things. Let's see, can we get with that off of here? If you don't already have one of these, I highly recommend it. I'll put it down in the link, or I'll put a link down in the description down below where you can get one. I use these things all the time. Okay, that intake breather hose is off. Now, this is just like a plastic shield. What I probably should do is take the fuel tank off, but in order to do that, I believe I might just be able to take this little shield off, and then it looks like there's two 10mm bolts over there, and it probably is supposed to strap down. If it's like any of these other Hondas, yeah, there's supposed to be straps here, but there are no straps. So it should just come free after that, after we obviously disconnect all the hoses. So let me do that real fast, and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, at least the petcock works. It is pretty nasty underneath here. I'll probably end up washing all this stuff again at some point anyway, but the fuel tank is off. Let's move on. On this side, it was an 8mm. I don't think that's what's supposed to be there. I think this is a different bolt, because the other side is a 10, and it's a nut and not an actual bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the other side and start wrenching it off. I can only use a wrench for it. I'm gonna get that done, and we should be able to pull this carburetor off. It is just two 10mm nuts. I looked at the wrong thing, and I was taking off the actual intake boot. So those are 8mm. The actual carb that holds the carb on is 10mm nuts. Excuse me. Now I'm going to loosen the choke on this thing. It's over here. There's a little screw that you can loosen the choke with, and then you could pull choke cable off. And then I'm going to loosen this top piece up here to get the throttle cable off. I was hoping to pull the needle and stuff out from the throttle cable and be able to take the whole carb out instead of having to like mess with the little thing that holds the throttle in there, throttle cable in there, but I can't get that thing out of there, and I'm gonna have to replace the throttle cable anyway, so I might as well unroute it all. So that's what I'm gonna do. It looks like it just routes behind here and then up to the handlebars over to the throttle, thumb throttle. So I'm gonna loosen that, 3 screws up there, so I can take that out of there. After struggling for what seems like 6 hours, I finally got this thing out of here. I got the throttle to free up somewhat. I mean, I still can't move it. It's still pretty stuck in there. This thing is gobbed full of crap. I could smell like the old varnish type fuel smell, old nasty fuel. So we're going to pull off some of these old hoses and potentially replace them with the new ones. I got some new fuel line too. I'm gonna be using obviously the new throttle cable. So hopefully we can get this thing all cleaned up, or potentially pull off the one from the other quad. I'd like to be able to just use this though, because there's no point in not using it. I'm gonna start disassembling this thing, basically just pulling all the hoses off and trying to get this throttle cable should come off now. Oh my gosh, see how hard that is to pull out of there? Look at all that just gummed up nastiness. With how nasty this carb is, I mean, I don't know if you could actually see in here. It's disgusting. There's so much buildup and gunk in this thing. I'm really half tempted to just use this one because it's brand new. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. These things are so cheap. I mean, I really am tempted to use this thing. Okay, it's now been like an hour since that last clip. The carb is on. The throttle is free, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to get compression with the throttle wide open and see what we get. I keep smelling like anytime I jump the solenoid, like dead animals. So I have a feeling there's like a dead mouse or something in the exhaust that could be stopping some stuff up. I still don't know what the no spark issue is. I switched out the CDI box with a newer one. Now, I didn't use the one off of the other quad. I have an actual one from the 400EX. Now, whether or not that works, I don't know, but it's the same exact plugs. It did not work to get new spark, so I'm going to put the old one back on or switch over to the other four-wheeler. We'll see. It just depends on how much longer I want to do this for. It's getting kind of late. But for now, let's just check this compression with the throttle fully open. All right, with throttle fully open, we are 130, so I'm gonna call that okay. I think stock is 185, so I'm fine with it being 130. That should be enough to run. This was the CDI box that was on it. So if you know what this is, let me know if this is like a name brand or something, or if this is the stock. This might be the stock one. I have an aftermarket one on there. I may take the stock one off of the other one, like I said, and see if that fixes it. I don't know if it's the CDI or not, but I'm just trying to swap things out that I know that I could possibly be good or not. You know, there's a whole list of things, but I'm gonna do some more diagnosing. I may quit for tonight and come back tomorrow because it's getting kind of late, like I said. So for you to be second, for me, who knows? Hopefully you guys can see this. We do have spark. We got spark, finally. After that last clip, I spent about 2 hours out here last night trying to diagnose and figure out what was going on, and I'm gonna bring you through and break down what I did. So first things first, if you go to the manual or the service manual, I'll have a little page if I remember to put it on the screen somewhere on here. They want you to test the peak voltage, and if you don't have one of these things, I recommend getting this one. This is an ES. I can't remember the actual brand of the name of the brand. It's a direct voltage adapter. It's the test peak voltage, and with any of these kind of machines that use a magneto and stator and stuff, you need to have one of these things. It's invaluable to determine stuff. So first things first, I tested the coil and got no voltage whatsoever from it. So then the next step, it tells you to go further over here to the CDI box. I tested underneath here, the CDI box. There's a whole process to go through. And after I've eliminated everything, I still wasn't getting power. I came over to this kill switch. I even took apart this kill switch and cut it up just to try to see if it was still getting ground. That was not the issue. Still wasn't working, and then I realized my neighbor has a brand new Honda CDI box. It's literally OEM from Honda. He bought it at the Honda dealership, and I tried it out, and it didn't work again. So I had this CDI box. I have the original one that was on it over here. This one, it wasn't working, and I was about to give up. I mean, I literally was really frustrated, and then I thought, why have I not used the other one on the other four-wheeler? Let me go test it out. I went to go test it out. Boom. Got voltage at the coil. That was the other thing. I was getting voltage everywhere except the coil. So there was no breaks in the line from the coil to the CDI. I mean, I just followed the service manual as best I could, but I got this thing to actually bump a little bit earlier. I sprayed some starting fluid in the new carb that's on there and got it to actually hit, and it blew out. I mean, all this stuff here has been blown out from the exhaust. All that, there's like nuts and crap out there, so I'm sure there's some junk in this exhaust. But I got it to fire. So basically, the CDI box was bad, and the two that I had were bad, and I just had to use the one off of the other four-wheeler. So finally, we got some spark. I'm glad we finally got it. It doesn't really, that sums up basically what I've done. I did order a new switch here with the code that's flashing up here when we're trying to put it in gear. We need a angle sensor, something sensor. That's the code it's throwing off, which I'll probably put that in another video. But for right now, I'm going to start putting everything back together. And I'm not going to leave it on for that because it's really simple. Just put the tank back on, and I'm going to put some of the plastics back on, hook everything back up, and then see if we can get some fire in this thing. That's the goal, to try to get it started. So let me start putting stuff back together. I apologize for not bringing you guys with me through that process. It was very frustrating testing all these things, but again, I cannot recommend enough to get a DVA. It's very useful in these scenarios. It helped me test and break down where the problem was. So definitely recommend getting one of those. Let's put all this stuff back together. I got fuel in the fuel filter, a new fuel line. Fuel's going in there. We can get it to go through. It's on reserve. Fresh fuel in there. Cleaned the tank out, switched it out. Got all these pieces back on. New air filter. This is the air box from the other four-wheeler because it's not broken. The tabs aren't broken, so it sits up here good. Neutral's on. It's in neutral. I think I'm going to try to start it. Okay, I still have to jump it because our kill switch and all this thing up here is just toasted. But Let's choke it. Look at there. Perfect. Already running. Oh yeah, lots of stuff coming out the back here. I mean, guys, look at that. A little bit of black smoke. Some white smoke too. So it could be burning some oil. But I'm not that worried about that because it's running. I can't believe it's running. Does the key work? Key works, perfect. It doesn't start, the start switch doesn't work. But can we jump it again? Let's see. Let's see if it's just a fluke or if it's a repeatable scenario here. Boom. You cannot beat that. Old Honda, who knows when the last time this thing's been started, fired right up. I can't believe that. There's some wasp nests and stuff that got blown out, but I think we're gonna call that good, guys. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty happy with that. The thing's running. You can't beat that. I'd like to take it for a drive, but with the angle position sensor thing working right, I'm just gonna not mess with that. So that's it, guys. Yes, awesome, cool. All right, guys, that's gonna be the end of this one. Hopefully you stuck around with me for all this. It was pretty, I wanna say, like, disheartening maybe? I don't know. It was just very annoying having to try to figure out this problem, and it always ends up being these damn CDI boxes. So hopefully I can get that other one running, but before we even mess with that, I'm going to continue working on this one, the angle position sensor. I'm going to swap the wheels over. I didn't realize these are Yamaha wheels on this Honda. They do rub up front, so the offset's probably off, but the other one does have Honda wheels on it. So I'm going to swap them over to this one because it's the nicer four-wheeler. I'm going to swap over some of the plastic pieces, but other than that, guys, that's going to be the end of this one. I'll have links down below in the description for some of the stuff I used. If you want to help support the channel, consider liking this video. If you want to see more stuff with these Honda Honda Recons, consider subscribing. But that's probably going to be the end of this one, guys. Can't believe I got it running after all that time. I was stressing out pretty bad over this thing. Couldn't figure out what the wiring stuff was. I was hoping I wouldn't have to take the whole wiring harness apart, so I'm pretty happy now. All right, guys, I'll bring you back when I get the new other stuff in, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Bye.